very special engine bay of a very special model of a Plymouth Duster, 1972. To my knowledge, the only year that this particular one, was available. This thing has, at this point in time, a built 340 in it, and by that I mean this car has been really done well. I can't speak for the internals of the engine, but I'm sure this engine's been balanced and blueprinted to the nth degree the way it runs. It does have power steering, it does not have power brakes, it does have a dual stage master cylinder, and it does have discs in the front. It has a set of Mopar valve pan covers on it and an air cleaner lid to match with a 14-inch unsilenced air cleaner. It has a dual feed Hawley, which is a vacuum secondary with a manual choke on it. You can see everything has been lined up fuel line wise, bent up just the way it should be. It has a Edelbrock dual plane intake manifold that's an air gap manifold. Again, another performance oriented item that's on this vehicle. This engine is built, it has a nice stout camshaft in it. The distributor is a Prestolite distributor with a cast iron body on it and a tack drive if you decided to use a actual gear drive tack, mechanical tack, as opposed to an electronic one. Way back in the day, that's the way they actually did it. Very rare distributor in this guy. It has an MSD ignition system to coincide with the Mopar system that's there, which it could be a point system, it could be a shutter, I'm really not sure. It does have a clutch fan with a nice stiff clutch on it yet. A fan shroud on it. This one's an aftermarket one done in, it's either polished stainless or chrome, I can't really tell. High flow, high volume radiator in the front to keep this guy cool. A newer alternator on it. The heat for the passenger compartment is still hooked up and functional, just the way it should be. The plug wires are high silicone plug wires that go along with the ignition system. This thing has a set of very unique headers on it. They're called a stepped header. Very expensive to produce. Instead of just one tube leaving the engine and going to the collector, generally there's three. And this one I'm going to call 1 5/8, going into 1 3/4, and then I'm sure going into 1 7/8 before going into 3.5 collector, going into whatever size pipes we'll determine once we get underneath the car. It has its original 2 horns in the front of it yet, secured to the radiator core support, which by the way is totally undisrupted, and it still has the original serial number stamped in the front of it here that coincides with the number on the fender tag that Devin's going to give you a good legible picture of. And that coincides with the serial number, the VIN plate number that's secured by the 6-side rivets on the dashboard. Real high-end, real high-quality engine compartment here with a very well done, very well piece of Mopar engineering here, a 340, definitely an overachiever. And in this stage of tune, it's ready to take on just about anybody that comes around. Real strong running car. We'll show you a few more things once we get under this car. It's a really neat car. Tons of horsepower, a great car, and a fantastic engine compartment. We'll go around the rest of it for you now. Hi, you're at Hanksters in Daytona Beach, Florida, and today our special guest is a 72 Plymouth Duster. Really a neat car with a little twist to it. It is a Duster twister, by the way, too. Gaps on the hood to the fender, you can see both sides and to the cowl area. Everything lines up just as sweet as you could possibly hope for it to do. It does have the optional hood scoops on it that are open in the back, so it does have cold air going into the engine compartment. It is not a ram air effect type of a system. It doesn't have the air cleaner mated up to it, but it does give you cold air to the engine compartment to give you a little denser fuel charge. The grill is a 71 style tooth grill that everyone, shark tooth grill that everyone really wants in any Duster, no matter what year it is. Chrome on the front bumper is just as sweet as you could hope to find on any of these cars. There's no cracks or marks or anything on the grill itself. All the teeth are nice on it. The alignment is nice for the front bumper. Parking lights are nice and clean. They're nice and crisp and clean and have amber bulbs in them. You can see that through the lenses in the front. Very nice front end of this car. The paint on the car is It's a driver quality type paint job. It's not a foot deep base coat, clear coat job, but certainly better, much better than was ever released by Mopar back in the early 70s. Great paint on the car. Going down the sides of it, you can see that this is reflective right here, but it does have a white stripe on it, a set of 15-inch rally wheels with a set of radials on it, and they're 15-inch with a 4.5-inch bolt pattern, which is kind of uncommon for a A-body car to have, but this one does have a 4.5-inch, and once we get under it, I'll show you why it had to have a 4.5-inch. The dashboard itself is just nice and clean, just the way it was when it was released by Mopar. There's no cracks or deviations or anything on the dash pad, and just clean and crisp going up to the base of the windshield. Wiper arms and blades are the correct style for the year. Correct mirror on the driver's door. The top is painted white and the car is painted green. It is not a vinyl top, nor was it ever released with a vinyl top, and I'll explain that to you at the end of the presentation here. The doors themselves, the fuzzies, whatever you want to call them, window wipes, whiskers, are replaced, and they're just as nice and fresh as could be. These windows do swing out. You see the inside of the car, the plate is still on the inside of the door for the ID, for the identification, and this hasn't been repainted inside the door. That, from what I can see, is all original. The car has been painted on the outside though. A white interior in it, does have a tack on the dash. You can see the door panels themselves are just as fresh and clean as you'd ever hope to find. Original armrest on it. All the chrome wear, door latch, window crank, everything is nice. The chrome is very, very nice on it. From what we can see here, there's no cracks in the steering wheel. We'll get a better look at it once we're inside though. Car has been rust-proofed when it was new. You can see the Z-bar plugs everywhere on the car, in the doors, on the quarter panels, rocker panels. So this car had been rust-proofed whenever it was a new vehicle yet. Great interior in the car. Fold down center armrest makes it look like bucket seats. Door closes nice and solid. You look at the gaps on the front and the back of the doors and the lineup. Can't get any better than that. And again, the rally wheels really add a nice look to this vehicle. The 340 designation on the back, your little duster making his dust trail there, your little duster twister. And down the sides of the car, everything is just as flat and nice and straight as can be. You can see the door alignment to the quarter to the front fender is spot on. The back of the car, again, the same as the hood. You can see that the alignment to the quarter panels, tops, and the deck lid itself just line up just as good as you could ever hope to find. Duster 340, there's our little duster making a lot of dust there. Tail light assemblies in the back, parking lights here, backup lights, of course, integrated into them. Chrome on the bumper is just as sweet and nice as you'd ever hope to find on one of these cars. The correct style rectangular exhaust tips going out the back. Okay, we're going to open the deck lid on this guy, show you what we have in the back. Again, this is the original tag for the jacking instructions that was put on by Mopar in 1972. Both quarter panels still have their original sound deadener splattered on material from Chrysler in 1972. Totally undisrupted. This car is as solid as a rock everywhere. It has the battery right rear in the trunk. And again, you'll see once we get underneath this car. Again, for weight transfer and also for weight bias toward the back. Build sheet for the car. Very nice piece of merchandise to have with every Mopar that you get. This guy does have the original build sheet. Spare tire is housed underneath. By the way, it's flat, needs some air. Spare tires underneath the back in the well. I don't want to tear this stuff up, but you can see that the floor in this car is original. The paint is original. Nothing has been disrupted from the day it was new. Great, great condition vehicle. Nice originality here. Passenger side, 340 designation again. You know, you can see the striping is nice and linear the whole way down the side of the vehicle. Hat rack in the back has a set of auxiliary speakers in it, 2 of them. And the The shelf itself is just as fresh as you'd want to ever see in a vehicle. There's no deterioration or no fading or no issues whatsoever on it. Again, the whiskers wipes on this side, the same as the other side. Window fitment is just as sweet as you'd ever hope to find. These doors actuate just as nice as you could ever hope. You can see the dashboard has no marks whatsoever in it. Carpeting is nice and black and crisp. No wear marks, no nothing. The seats are the same way, front and back, and it has a complement of seat belts front and back. And by the way, it's original interior. These things are impossible to get, these little chrome pieces. They're the same way with the Roadrunners. I know for a Roadrunner to find those are about $750 to just get those pieces of trim that go on the seat. Well, alignment of the door, the same as it was on the other side. You know, nice alignment to the quarter panel, to the front fender. No mirror on this side, something we could add if the customer so chose. Again, look at the alignment of everything. The hood to the cowl area, to the fender, to the door. Everything is just as straight aligned as you could ever hope to find. 72 Duster with a little bit of a twist. This guy's got a built 340 in it. I believe it started life as a 318 car, but this thing is called a Shamrock edition. 1 year only, and it's also the only car that Mopar made in this particular color green. This green was not used on any other Chrysler product, or to my knowledge any other product. 1 year only, Shamrock edition only, came with a creamish white painted top, not vinyl, painted. Came with that interior in it in white, and it came with this white stripe down the side of it, and it was called the Shamrock edition. And that shows it on the trim tag. This is the real deal Shamrock car with a built 340 in it, in an undisrupted, unmolested body. All the original panels are still intact on it. You saw the core support still retains its original numbers. The quarter panels still have their original sound deadener in them. We got underneath this car, you'll see a real surprise then. This is available here at Hangsters at Daytona Beach. It's a one-of-one car. You're not going to find a duplicate to it. If you do, I'll be very surprised. And this guy got a built 340 that's ready to kick some nice running car. Take a look at it. Here's Hangsters. Okay, this is the underside of our 72 little Plymouth Duster 340 car. Really a well put together car. Very well attended to on this one. Sway bar in the front, just the way it would have come with the heavy duty suspension on it. A Milledon high volume oil pan. You can see it has a triangulation on the back to keep the oil from sloshing. Nice heavy duty, expensive Milledon oil pan here. The cooling lines from the TorqueFlite transmission to the front of the radiator, still the original type and still intact. You see the header tubes go into a, I'm going to call it a 3-inch, could be 3.5, but it looks like 3-inch primary collector going into 2.5-inch primary tubes going back toward the muffler with an H pipe in it. The undercarriage of this car is completely rust-proofed, as is all the internal parts of the doors, quarter panels, front fenders, inside the doors. Everything is done by Z-Bart way back when. The starter is a gear reduction starter. It's not the conventional Mopar starter. This one has a little bit more breathing room with the headers there. The conventional starters don't last very long simply because of the heat generated by the header system. Original fuel line going toward the rear on this side. Original brake lines on this side. Parking brakes still hooked up and functional. You can see there's no leaks whatsoever on the engine, bell housing area, or the TorqueFlite tranny on it. None on the speedometer drive or the tail shaft. So this thing is, at this point anyway, leak-free. Disc brakes in the front, new shocks in the front, tie rod ends and spindles. Everything appears to have been addressed whenever this car was restored. Geez, I don't see anything at all out of line in this car. Pitman arm has been replaced. Idler arm the same way. It's been replaced and addressed with a new one. The subframes are connected front to rear. There's a very substantial set of subframe connectors to give the car a lot more structural rigidity from the way it was when it was designed by Chrysler. There's a drive shaft loop in case you would happen to break the front U-joint on this, which would be impossible because it's a heavy-duty drive shaft made up to the Dana rear end. We'll show you that in a second. Again, look at the floor pans of this thing. They still have the sticky Z-Bart rust proofing on them from the factory way back when. Undercarriage in this car has absolutely no deterioration whatsoever. Absolutely none. Multi-leaf springs in the back, front. The fronts are tied up a little bit to give it a little bit more, so that it doesn't squat as much on acceleration. 9 3/4 inch Dana 60 carrier in this thing. These were all Pawsey units. This one is a, I believe Donnie said it's a 4:10 gear ratio in this particular one. The new shocks in the back to complement the ones in the front. And Devin will show you in the pictures that the drop downs in the quarter panels with the original tabs still intact on them from Mopar. You can see the spot welds. So this car has all of its original integrity from day one. A couple of very superficial dinghies in the gas tank, which appears to be the original tank. Also, the spare tire well, and no dents or dings or marks whatsoever on it. And it also, with the framework, the subframes, the floor pans, everything has been addressed with a Z-Bart rust preventative, apparently from when the car was new. Finned heavy-duty brakes in the rear of this car to complement the discs in the front, and a new round of rubber on a set of rally wheels, and you got yourself a really great-looking, super strong-running, small block Mopar. It's a Shamrock Edition Duster. 1 year only. This color is this car only, and everything is shown on the build tag, so you can see its authenticity with the build sheet with it. Got a lot of originality to this guy. Take a look at it. It's at Hangsters, and I bet you can't find another one. Okay, we are in our Shamrock Edition Plymouth Duster, and let's see what works and what doesn't. Horn is working just like it should. Let's try the fan. Fan's working for the heater controls. There's no air in this car, but the fan is working for the heater controls. That's a biggie. We're holding about, I don't know, about 65 pounds oil pressure here. Has an auxiliary oil pressure gauge, obviously. It has a tachometer that's working just fine. We're idling about 900 RPMs here. This thing got a pretty good cam in it. Okay, the amp gauge is charging just the way it should. Temperature is coming up. It's running on the cool side, but we just started this up a little while ago. Between 1/4 and 1/2 a tank of fuel. And let's see if the wipers work. And the wipers are just working away just to beat themselves to death there. And we wondered what this was for, but it's an antenna because this vehicle is a radio delete car. There is no, but you can hear Devin found the radio, which is underneath the passenger side of the front seat. So it does have a radio and it does function. So everything works in this guy. Oh, turn signal. Let's do turn signals. Left turn signal working away. Right turn signal doing its job. I guess that pretty much covers everything. Everything works in the vehicle just the way it should. It does have a line lock on it too. I don't want to show you what I just did, but it works fine. Nice running car. Down the road straight as can be, no hands on the wheel, and it's just going down the road straight. Let's try brakes no hands. Let's see how that works. Brakes no hands. There it is. This is a nice car. Speedometer functioning as it should. Nice and linear. It doesn't jump around. A lot of traffic out today. Getting close to Christmas here, so there's a lot of people in town. It's a nice tight car. It doesn't wander at all. The steering is very precise, and there are no cracks on the steering wheel either. We did mention that we were going to check that for you, and there are none. Headliner is just as nice. It's a solid headliner, but it's nice. It's not deteriorated in any way. Sun visor is the same way. Dashboard, we did mention, is totally crack and distortion free. It's a nice car. This thing's really a nice car. We'll do a little bit of a shot here for you, see how it runs. be. That wasn't first gear, that was second gear going into third gear and not going nuts on it. But the car has tons of torque, tons of power. And again, straight as an arrow down the road. You can't find a car that runs any straighter. You just can't do it. It's as nice a car as you'll ever find. And again, steering the same way. It's a nice tight car. There's not a shake, a shimmy, a rattle, a squeak, nothing. You saw the brakes stopping very linear whenever we applied them. All the gauges functioning as it should. The temperature holding down on the low side, on the cool side of the gauge. And again, oil pressure nice and high. Everything is just as good as you would ever find on any vehicle. It's a nice car. Shamrock edition, 1972 only. The only color they made in this car, and the only year they used it, and the only car that they used it on. So it's not a car you're going to find everywhere. Take a look at it. It's here at Hanksters, and like I said, it is the only one. The only one we have, I know that.